It's Halloween night in 1820. John Bell is awakened from his sleep in Adams, Tennessee. Outside, there's a cacophony of screams, howls, growls, and chains dragging metal moans that seem to shake the very foundation of his house. What he hears is the work of the Bell Witch, an evil spirit who's tormented his family for years. She even killed his daughter. Now, she seems determined to kill him too. Fast forward almost 200 years to the present day. A group of paranormal investigators from a podcast called Lore Seekers are staying in a cabin in rural Tennessee when they hear sounds eerily similar to those heard by Mr. Bell all those years ago. But what they don't know is that they're staying right where those terrifying events took place. And the ghost of the Bell Witch is back to claim more victims. If you like your horror stories with a side of atmosphere and dread, then let me introduce you to the new series, The Bell Witch Returns. This 4-part series picks up with the aftermath of the original Bell Witch haunting. Legend has it that after killing John Bell, the witch set her sights on his son, leaving his farm a desolate husk. No one dared stay there until a century later when a man named James Baker moved into the abandoned farmhouse. Now, the story changes from here depending on which retelling you read or watch. Sometimes the ghosts of the Bell family move in with James and his family. Other times, James moves out because he can't take the haunting anymore. In this series, though, James manages to hold on to his home, even going so far as to open it up to tourists who come to see the place where all the witchy things happened. When we meet our main character, Ben, he's the caretaker of the house, hired on by James to keep things in shape and talk to any curious customers who stop by. One day, a woman named Lucy shows up, though. She says she's a reporter researching the legend of the Bell Witch. But there's something about her that makes James uneasy. He doesn't like that she's asking questions about the house that no reporter would be able to answer unless they were living inside it. So he tells Ben to show her around, but to also keep an eye on her. We quickly learn that Lucy isn't the only person showing up who might have some connection to the Bell Witch. After a strange encounter at the local diner, Ben and James welcome 2 men into their home. They introduce themselves as members of a podcast called Lore Seekers, and they're there to record an episode about the Bell Witch. Unlike Lucy, their interest in the case is purely professional. Now, I love a good haunting story as much as the next person, but I think we all know what's going to happen here. If you like tales of the supernatural, you've probably heard about the Bell Witch before. It's one of those legends that keeps getting retold and reinterpreted, and hearing another version of the story is fun enough on its own. But with each telling, you kind of know what's coming. You know the rules. We know the rules. Everyone knows the rules. But while the series does deliver on those expectations, it also finds a way to subvert them too. I'll admit the first episode or so plays into some pretty familiar horror movie tropes. You've got the new people in town, the old, creepy caretaker, and the old man who owns the house, warning everyone that things aren't always what they seem around these parts. There's even a jump scare or two that got me. But once all the pieces are in place, once we understand the history of the house, and once the witch fully reveals herself, everything clicks into place in a way that feels both familiar and fresh. I know what was coming based on the synopsis alone, but seeing it play out still surprised me. This series is just over 30 minutes long, but it paints a really clear picture of its characters. Even though we're mostly following Ben through this story, Thomas and the other members of the Lore Seekers bring a lot to the story. Their dynamics with each other and with Ben feels natural, and their reactions to the horrors that unfold feel real. And when they start disappearing one by one, I found myself caring about them and wanting to know what happened to them, even though I knew full well where the story was headed. When one of the Lore Seekers goes missing, Ben and James go looking for him and discover his camera and recording equipment left behind. Checking the footage, they find something that wasn't recorded by anyone. These ghostly glimpses come from the perspective of the witch, or at least the witch's victim. The camera captures strange occurrences around the house, but it also allows us to peer into the mind of someone being psychologically tortured by a vengeful spirit. And if that weren't scary enough, The twist ending adds a whole new layer of fear to the story. I'm not going to spoil exactly what that twist is, but I will say that it ties together the past and the present in a way that is both terrifying and kind of brilliant. Between this series and Guillermo del Toro's Haunted Mansion, it seems like haunted houses are having a moment right now. But The Bell Witch Returns is nothing like that Disney movie. Instead of campy scares and silly ghosts, this series leans into the dread and atmosphere of its story. Sure, we get the occasional jump scare, but the real terror lies in knowing that something is wrong and not being able to do anything about it. The story unfolds through the characters investigating it, meaning we get to experience the mystery alongside them. And as things start to go missing and disappear, we experience that helplessness right along with them. This is a story that takes its time and builds until the final moments. By the time the truth of the situation is revealed, you'll be desperate for it to be over. But the witch isn't done with her victims yet. Stories of witches and witchcraft make up a big part of horror folklore. But unlike vampires or werewolves, witches tend to be portrayed as more human. They use their powers out of malice, revenge, or jealousy, but they usually have a reason for their actions. The Bell Witch is different, though. She's pure evil, tormenting people without provocation, and that makes her truly terrifying. In fact, she's kind of like a less fantastical version of Hannibal Lecter. Like Hannibal, she gets inside the heads of her victims, playing on their fears and driving them mad. And in the end, she has a way of escaping that's clever and unexpected. There's a lot of great horror out there, but sometimes it can be hard to choose what to watch. That's why my friends at Shudder wanted to partner with me on this video. Shudder is a streaming service dedicated entirely to the horror genre. They've got thousands of movies and shows, including exclusives you won't find anywhere else. And with Halloween right around the corner, there's no better time to check it out. For starters, they've got tons of classics, like An American Werewolf in London, Hellraiser, and one of my personal favorites, The Changeling, starring George C. Scott. But if you're looking for something a little newer, Shudder has you covered too. They've got the critically acclaimed Barbarian, as well as new original series like Cursed Films, which explores the dark side of filmmaking. Plus, they're constantly adding new titles every month, so there's always something fresh to watch. To start your free trial today, just click the link in the description below. So many podcasts use sound design and music to elevate their storytelling, but few do it better than The Bell Witch Returns. From the opening sequence to the sound effects sprinkled throughout the story, everything blends together seamlessly to create a chilling soundscape. Music plays a huge role in building suspense, heightening emotion, and making the scariest moments even more terrifying. But perhaps most importantly, the score perfectly captures the essence of the story. As the tale of the Bell Witch unfolds, the soundtrack takes us on a journey that mirrors the emotional roller coaster we're all experiencing. Some of the best horror stories make you feel like you're right there in the action, and The Bell Witch Returns does that with flying colors. This series does such a good job of setting the stage we never doubt that we're right there in the cabin with Ben and the rest of the gang listening to those terrifying sounds as the story slowly reveals itself. And when the climax finally arrives, you'll feel like you're right in the middle of the action. If you love horror podcasts, then you've got to check out The Bell Witch Returns. And hey, if you're not normally a fan of scary stories, maybe this one will change your mind. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. Make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Your support keeps this channel alive and lets us bring you even more creepy, mysterious content. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.